Hello, my name is Dr. Joshua Reichard, Chief Academic Officer at City Vision University, and this is the course overview for Business Communications. As with all of our courses at City Vision University, there are both benefits and limitations to online learning, and this applies to business communications as well. We discuss these limitations in terms of three dimensions: head learning, which is the cognitive dimension; heart learning, which is the affective or feeling dimension; and hand learning, which is the psychomotor or doing dimension. Head learning is mainly what you get from this course and books. This is the information or knowledge that you gain by going through this business communications course. Heart learning has more to do with how the values of City Vision University are expressed throughout the course and how those values impact your life and your work. In terms of systems and justice, we will discuss quite a bit throughout this course how and when to communicate appropriately across various cross-cultural audiences, how to interact appropriately with colleagues and with others. In terms of personal or mercy formulation, we will be discussing how to communicate through relationships as much as through formal documents. And we'll be doing a lot of formal document writing, but we're just as concerned here at City Vision University about your ability to build and foster healthy relationships in whatever context you find yourself in. And one of the major limitations of this is that we just don't have the value that sometimes comes with face-to-face interaction, and we don't have the opportunity to hear the tone of voice and make eye contact with the people that we're communicating with. We will have 2 live sessions via a Zoom call, and that certainly helps. But much of this type of communication will need to be fleshed out in your context and in your organization, in your community, in your ministry, with the people that you interact with on a daily basis. And finally, in terms of the hand dimension or the doing dimension, we will be composing relevant business documents that hopefully you can apply directly to your organization. These are things like letters and emails and memos, and our final project, which is a business report. And our hope is that you can apply these writing skills to the real needs of your organization or community in whatever professional context you find yourself in. We have 6 learning objectives for this course. After completing this course in business communications, you should be able to, number 1, compose professional business documents, including letters, newsletters, memos, and reports, email, and resumes. Number 2, apply principles of effective writing to practical applications in business communication, including correct spelling and punctuation, and appropriate content, style, and form. And if you've taken City Vision's English composition course or a similar course at a different institution, you might think about this course as a follow-up to that essential writing course, especially applied in the business context. Number 3, formulate logical, well-supported positions in a research report for a nonprofit organization or business, and this will be our final project for this course. Number 4, adapt the tone of business documents to the needs of particular audiences, including professional, cross-cultural, and Christian contexts, by identifying the appropriate context and communicating accordingly. Number 5, compose professionally written messages, including positive, negative, and persuasive messages to internal and external stakeholders. And we'll actually practice writing both positive and negative messages in the course. Number 6, develop a professional presentation using appropriate technology. And one component of your final project will actually be to generate a formal presentation and share that with the class. We have 2 textbooks in this course. The first one is called Business Communications for Success by Scott McLean, and this is an open educational resource, which means it's free for you to use. You don't have to pay for it. It's a version of a textbook that's used widely for business communication courses at various universities, so it's widely known and widely utilized, and you'll have the opportunity to use this textbook without paying for it, so that's good news to you as a student. The second book is the Harvard Business Review Guide to Better Business Writing by Brian Garner. And this is a very practical, down-to-earth guide to business writing. And many of the methods and strategies that we'll be employing throughout the course will come from the HBR guide, and we'll integrate some of those strategies with the content in Business Communications for Success. We went through the learning objectives on a previous slide, but I wanted to just mention the general purpose of this course. Overall, we want to help you practice your writing skills in business and professional contexts. We see that this is a very important soft skill for any professional, and as you're going through your degree program at City Vision University, we believe that the skills that you will learn and practice in this course are applicable in any organizational context, whether that's ministry or in community work or in general business. We want to give you some skills that we believe are transferable for the present and for the rest of your career. The second general purpose is to assist you in conducting formal research and writing for your organization. So as you develop your final project, you will be conducting research relevant to a problem and then practicing your writing skills by writing a report specifically for your organization or your community. This course is divided into 8 lessons over 8 weeks. The first lesson is Writing Well in Business Communication, and this is a general overview of writing strategy and the writing process. Lesson 2 is Revising and Clarifying Written Communication. During this week, you will be working on editing and sharing a document with your classmates and doing some collaborative editing using Google Docs. Lesson 3 is Knowing and Adapting to Your Audience. During this week, we'll focus specifically on cross-cultural communication strategies. In Lesson 4, we'll be working on composing professional letters, newsletters, and email. And we will be writing formal business letter and evaluating the effectiveness of email communication. In Lesson 5, we'll work on developing and delivering business presentations, and you'll take a component of your final project and translate that into a business presentation, which you will share with the rest of the class. In Lesson 6, we'll begin working on researching and organizing for business reports. So you'll be developing the methodology section for your final project and begin the process of conducting research for the results and analysis section of that report. In Lesson 7, we'll actually take a little detour and work on resume writing and networking. So you'll have an opportunity to polish your resume and work on your LinkedIn profile. And in Lesson 8, you will be putting the final touches on your final project, which is a business report, and then you'll be posting that for instructor feedback and grading. Throughout this course, we will be applying a writing method called the MACJ method, and this comes from the HBR Guide to Better Business Writing book. The MACJ method encourages us not to think of writing as one big task, but to break up our work as we go through the writing process. So we might think of writing as a series of smaller tasks. The poet and writer and teacher Betty Sue Flowers envisioned this process as different characters operating in your brain. This is the madman, the architect, the carpenter, and the judge. The madman gathers up material and generates ideas. The architect organizes information by drawing up an outline, even a simple outline. The carpenter puts thoughts into words, laying out sentences and paragraphs by following the architect's plan. So the architect makes the outline, the carpenter starts to flesh out that outline in sentences and paragraphs. And the judge is your quality control character, polishing the expression throughout all of the writing, everything from tightening language to correcting grammar and punctuation. You'll be most efficient if you carry out these tasks pretty much in this order. Sure, you'll do some looping back, and oftentimes writing is a process, For example, you may need to draft more material after you've identified some holes in your writing in each assignment. But do your best to compartmentalize these discrete tasks and address them in order. So generate ideas as the madman, flesh out general themes into the form of an outline as the architect, then start to flesh out those components of the outline as the carpenter, and then polish your ideas as the judge. As I've already mentioned, your final project for this course is a business report. The goal of this project is to help you practice formal business writing and apply principles of persuasive, research-based writing to propose a solution to a problem in your organization or community. We've provided a template for the business report in Google Drive. If you don't have a Google Drive account, please follow the tutorial and instructions in the Start Here section of the course. In the business report, you'll identify a problem. That's a problem in your organization, your ministry, or your community, something that you care about, that you see that needs to be addressed in a formal way. You'll research the background of that problem, propose a research plan for a solution to the problem, carry out the research, communicate the results, and draw conclusions. Our hope is that this is not just a theoretical report or an academic exercise. We know that most City Vision University students are actively working in professional or ministry contexts, and we want you to use this course as an opportunity to address a real problem in your organization or community, and we hope that the report itself is usable in the real world. We don't want this to be just an academic exercise, and we hope that you see the value of it throughout the next 8 weeks. Your final project business report will have the following components. You're going to start with a cover page, which is in the template, and then you'll include an abstract or an executive summary, which briefly and concisely summarizes the content of the entire report. You'll then have an introduction, which introduces the organization and previews the sections of the report, and we'll draft the first version of the introduction in Lesson 1. You'll then have a problem overview, which describes the general context of the problem. That's the context in your organization or in your community or who it's affecting. And we'll draft that first problem overview during Lesson 2. Then you'll develop a background section, which is an in-depth and research-based overview of the problem. We'll draft that in Lesson 5. Then you'll have a methodology section, which describes how you plan to research the problem in more detail and research a possible solution to the problem. So your methodology is basically a plan for gathering the information or the data that you need to discuss whether or not the potential solution to the problem is viable, and you'll draft that in Lesson 6 and share that with the class. And beginning with Lesson 6, you'll start conducting your research. You'll compose your results and analysis during Lesson 7, even though we'll be taking a little bit of a detour in Lesson 7 to work on resumes and networking. And finally, you'll compose your results and analysis section, which includes your findings of the research process, and then a conclusion in which you draw your final conclusions as to whether or not your proposed solution to the problem is viable. And of course, there will be a references section as well. So you'll want to finalize everything by the end of Lesson 8 and submit your final project for grading. Again, our prayer is that you enjoy this course. We pray that it's meaningful to you, that it's useful in your professional and ministry context, and that you can apply what you learn over the next 8 weeks to make a real difference in the work that you're doing. Enjoy the course.